Welcome to Finance with Factor,
Oops, apparently we're already recording, so here we go.
a place you can come to laugh and learn from local experts who love to discuss everything related to the world of real estate.
Weird passion. It's one that I actually share a little bit, so it makes me a weirdo with you.
Each week, we'll cover a unique topic
Let's talk about condos.
to help you understand the mortgage industry, navigate the home buying process, and grow your business while maintaining a slice of sanity.
Okay, fine. I've been confused by a lot of things over the past few years.
Now that he's climbed safely atop his soapbox, here's your host, a senior loan officer with Movement Mortgage, Jason Factor.
Tips for me or anything I should be aware of? Or we're already recording.
That's my goal. I just sneak attack people. No, Connor is now a guest. I was just actually on Connor's podcast, The Lowdown, which is a interview series with top producers around the country, just speaking about being a loan officer, how they came into the business and what they do, which is not how I met Connor. So the way that I met Connor was he called me recruiting because he is also, I'd imagine, a branch manager or producer himself. And he was calling loan officers. And what I thought was really cool is that you didn't open with the line that everyone else opens with, which is, "Hi, my name is Jason, and I'm calling on behalf of so-and-so. We've been hearing great things about you and your business, and we just are looking for top producers and people of character in your area. We really thought you'd be a great fit for, blank, and I'd love to introduce you to him or her." And every single time someone calls me like that, I say, "Really? That's great. Who'd you hear it from?" And they're like, Scotsman
Right.
Guide. Uh, so I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself, and and then we can kind of dive into the content a little bit. But today's episode is really going to be about just that. How did you add value and the value proposition that you bring? Because we started talking during the conversation instead of pitching and selling. And right away, you got into, I also do this podcast, The Lowdown, where I interview top producers. And it wasn't about like, I want you to come work for my company, because obviously if you were going to jump ship from a place you've been for 10 years to come work at my company after a 15-second call, then why would I want you here?
It's a big red flag.
Yeah, like that's a huge red flag. So before we get into that and the value proposition that you try to bring to your business and your strategies, could you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure.
And where you come?
I'm Connor Bartley. I am the national recruiting manager over at a company called Lower Mortgage. I've been in the mortgage business now for 10 years. I've been recruiting almost since I got out of college. I was an outside salesperson for a telecom company for about the first 6 months out of college, and I got kicked out of a lot of business buildings. I was trying to convince companies to switch from DSL internet to T1 technology. And, the company was a very aggressive sales model. They took kids out of college and turned them loose. And, a lot of people were just super aggressive with that. And so we got a really bad reputation. And some of my colleagues were getting into recruiting. And so I was like, all right, let me try that out. Started in healthcare, was helping registered nurses get into hospitals across the country. It's amazing how many people will take jobs over the phone, pack up their lives, and move across the country. It's wild how that would happen. But then I got into staffing in 2008 when hospitals stopped hiring nurses because that was a cost and not a revenue generating hire for the hospital. And so I needed to take a little bit more control of my own career. So I worked a full desk, finding clients, finding candidates, and just filling jobs with all sorts of industries. Kind of settled into oil and gas after a while. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We got a lot of upstream oil companies here. So got into upstream oil and gas recruiting, JIB accountants, geologists, reservoir engineers, regulatory, division order analysts, folks like that. And then the price per barrel dropped from like $100 a barrel to like 20, 25. And it was 2008 all over again for me. And so here I am going, oh, what am I going to do? And there was a mortgage company locally that I knew used temps. And because I had interviewed a few temps that had worked there. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to call this mortgage company and see if they'll use me as like a temp service provider, because I was in the staffing world. So
So
they
you
were
made your
hiring
own
temps.
market?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you basically called them and made your own job?
Oh yeah, yeah. You would call and say, like, you would interview someone, you'd find out, that they did this job, and then you would find a company that was hiring for that job, and you call and say, hey, I talked to Jason. He's really great at doing this, this, and this, and I talked to him and I've reference checked him, and would you have an opening for them there? And and then it just starts the conversation. But anyway, they wanted to talk to me about working there, and at the time, it was a big salary increase for me. It was a typical mortgage job, right?
Sure.
It paid more than what it should, and so for the first remember, I got into staffing in 2008. And so a lot of the people I interviewed early on in my career there, before I started getting into the oil and gas stuff, were mortgage operations people.
Mhm.
They were laid off Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase Bank. They have these ops centers here in
Pretty
my
much everyone
area.
that works in the mortgage industry has filtered through one of those shops at one
Oh
point.
yeah, yeah. So it was like
It's like
processors,
how
underwriters,
insurance agents
closers.
all work with Liberty Mutual up here.
Exactly. And so I got to meet a lot of people from the industry, and I just remembered, like, my heart went out to them because they struggled so much to find another job that fulfilled them as much as mortgage, paid them as much as mortgage, because a lot of other industries did not quite understand what it was they actually did. And so when you looked at a resume of an underwriter making 80,000 salary with bonus, and you're a manufacturing company or an aerospace company, you might look at that and go, well, this looks like a $14, $16 an hour administrative assistant. And like, they just didn't quite understand what it was that that person
So you were
actually
able to
did. And
translate the complexity of that and help them advance.
as best I could, right? There are a lot of
Sure.
people I couldn't help, which was really unfortunate. So I always kind of thought of mortgage as like, don't go there, Connor, like that. But then here I am. So I get hired with my first company. I do that for a while. And now fast forward, I've been in it 10 years. I manage a team of recruiters with a company that's, looking to grow and just trying to build relationships with people, and try and do it a little differently than, I mean, Jason, I'll be honest with you. If we had talked 2 years ago, we would have had that gross conversation. Like, that would have been exactly, that was me. I mean, that was me. Like, I have to own the sins of my past, right? Like, I have to say, I've been there. I've been doing it the wrong way for a long time. Um, and I know I'm talking a lot, Jason, so I'll let you get
No.
in a question. But the thing is, like, I 2 years ago, and this will kind of get us caught up to where we are today. But 2 years ago, I said, I want to put myself through something because I want to honor the people that I recruit, right? I'm asking folks to do a very big thing, right? Trust me, I'm telling you that this place is going to be a good spot for you. Hear us out. Let's have that conversation. Let's uproot your life. Let's do a big life changing decision, and let's see if it works out, because you're a commission only salesperson. And if it doesn't, you're kind of screwed, right? Like, it's a big deal what I'm asking people to do. So I need to understand what life is like for them. And so I said, there's a lot of great podcasts out there. I'm going to listen to 100 mortgage podcasts in 100 days. And I
Oh,
started that.
that sounds
And I
awful.
listened to, well, I don't know that there's really 100. There's probably 100 unique shows, but I couldn't find them all. So I did some repeat, like, shows, but I summarized every episode I listened to. I posted every summary to LinkedIn. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll find, like, the anthology. It's there. It's kind of pinned in my featured section of posts, but it's all 100 episodes, all 100 summaries.
It's like
And
that
some of the,
movie Julia and Julia where she cooks through the cookbook. You were
oh,
going through the mortgage podcasts and just charting
yeah,
your
yeah,
journey.
exactly. And so from that, some of the hosts, saw the summaries. They appreciated what I was doing. They offered to have me on as a guest, so I got to talk to them. But it really just sort of gave me some real insight into the business that I was recruiting for, because, mind you, I was doing healthcare, staffing, oil and gas. What did I know about mortgage, right? And so that really gave me some insight into this really cool culture of the business. And then fast forward another year from that, and I'm at this new job at Lower, and I'm talking with our chief chief growth officer at the time, and he said, Connor, you've got a brand. People kind of know who you are. You're big on social media. Like, why don't you just start hosting your own podcast? And, I took a pause and I said, what, you're right. I probably should do that. So I went with friends first, like close people that I had kept a relationship with for a while, and they were sure I'll jump on. And then I started getting some referrals from them. So then it was friends of a friend. And then I just went to complete strangers and just started, I got comfortable and I said, you know what, let me just call other people at random, see what they think. And, it's been great because it's been well received. I feel like it's, from a recruiting perspective, it's a great opportunity to sort of meet people where they are, to provide value back to them as a guest in the form of, content that we can create, and then create a community within that group. Now I'm at 80 plus guests have been on the Lowdown Mortgage podcast over the last year and a half or so. And what that's created has been this really great opportunity to now form like small groups and collaborative conversations and connect people with one another and help them help each other. And, when the guest list is very similar in terms of where they are in their professional journey and where they're doing, what they're doing in production and things like that, you've got this group of people that sort of think alike, and they're in the same place. They're trying to figure out the same problems and look for, solutions. And so I now have this opportunity to say, okay, you're in Seattle, Washington at ABC Mortgage Company, and you're in Tampa, Florida at XYZ Mortgage Company. You guys should know each other. Otherwise, you never would have met. But I can hopefully connect you in some way to where, you're working on one thing and you're 2 steps ahead of the person over here across the country. Maybe you can, share with them what not to do so that they don't make the same mistake. And a lot of great producers are more than willing to do that, which is
Yeah,
the awesome
absolutely.
thing
It's a
about,
very cool collaborative
those loan
business.
officers.
And I
Yeah.
kind of want to pull on a thread that you said there. So you said, I started realizing I was adding value.
Hmm.
Um, and that's sort of the value proposition that I think a lot of realtors, a lot of recruiters, a lot of mortgage lenders sort of forget, is that our job isn't to sell someone a house or to get someone a job or to get someone a mortgage. It's to add value to the transaction, whatever that transaction is. Whether you're a gym owner, I'm adding value to your health and well being, or you're a mortgage loan officer, adding value to this stressful process. Um, and I think what's really cool about what you just said there is like you focused on the value proposition and then used your network to create those relationships and relationship networking to add more value to the people already in that network and keep the network growing. Can you speak to maybe a success story of how that has come back
Oh,
to
yeah.
actually help your business?
To help my business, well, I mean,
Have you
there
landed
are,
any? Has anyone said
yeah.
any of your past guests actually come to work after building that relationship with you?
Yes, and we've had, I won't name names, and there are some
Sure.
people who have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I am now in the process of looking, and yeah, I want to, check out your company. I appreciate what you've done and things like that." And so, yeah, I mean, but I think it's a familiarity piece, right? Like if I call you out of the blue and go with the so and so said I should call you, we've been keeping an eye on you, and just kind of do that whole
It's
tired
a
spiel.
3-minute conversation that I can't wait to get off.
Right.
And
Well,
and
because
they'll call me every quarter and I'll say, "Is it okay if you check in?" I'll say, "Absolutely." I'll never
sure.
say no. I'll always pick up even if it says spam, because what if that's your name? Um,
Right.
like it could be someone new, and every time I cringe and I go, "Dang it, they got me again." But I will pick up the phone every time, but it's going to be a 3-minute conversation. I will
Yeah.
say value proposition. Connor, our conversation was about a half an hour. I
Hmm.
just came on your podcast, The Lowdown, for a half hour, and here
Yeah.
you are now. We just spent an hour and a half together,
Hmm.
and I didn't know you from a hole in the ground a week ago.
Right. And all because I just said what? I talked to you about Notebook LM, right? I said, I've got this. Are you using AI in your business? Because here's something that I discovered as a tool that could be cool for you to use in following up with your borrowers after a consultation call or something, right? You can create a slide deck, take the transcript, dump it into there. It'll give them a cool like summary that'll be enhanced and look really nice, like a graphic designer actually designed it. And so, but the thing is, you have to increase your own value to be able to bring value, right? You have to study things. You have to be kind of present out there and know what's going on. Like you see this stack of books behind me. Like that's something I intentionally did last year. Was I read like 30 books because I was like, I gotta know things to be able to talk about things with people. And if all I'm doing all day is cold calling and say somebody wants to talk to you, what am I really like? What am I giving them? And
Yeah.
and the first reaction that most people have is like, this guy's calling me to do something I don't want to do right now. I don't want to move. I like where I work. I'm not unhappy, or I'm not unhappy enough to go through the pain of making a change. So why would I want to lead with that? Right. So
It's a good question, right? Realtors are probably asking the same thing. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm calling people about a listing, and how often do you really take the time to ask? Like, do you really want to move? Right?
Yeah.
What is the motivation? Are we really moving out of necessity? Are you sad that you're leaving? Um,
Right.
and then how do you add value? And that value could simply be, here are some other people I can connect you with. It can be, here are connections I have within town. It can be your network. It can be helping someone get settled. It can be, as far as I've seen, realtors that actually are like pulling up in the moving truck and moving things out, right? Like there's so
Yeah.
much value that you can add, and being able to communicate that value proposition as a real estate agent or as a lender is how you beat out the competition.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, it's all about what can I do for you? Like we talked about this when we did the lowdown podcast. It's an open hand kind of abundance mentality that you need to come to the conversation with, because if you're coming with that commission breath, the I need you to say yes to this, or um people feel that
Yeah, the
they
coffees for closers, sales, heavy sales mentality is
yeah.
just not, it's just not fun. I don't like it. There are people that
Right.
do. We actually talked about this on podcast, right? Like find your school of fish.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and there are people that are like, and I you know, some of my best friends are Wall Street people that are like, just get straight to the point. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's like one of my favorite clients ever. She was a radio producer.
Okay.
She would say, I'm gonna call you at 3:16 and I will have 45 seconds. And she would call me at exactly 3:16 and we would have exactly 45 seconds. And I would have to be like, we ordered the appraisal, it's due back on this date, and I need you to give me this, 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 and this. And she'd be like, great. It'll be in your inbox within the next 30 seconds. Bye. And that was the conversation. And that's
Yeah.
awesome, right? But like find your school of fish, and that like work with people that like to work with you, and build those connections and value for them. And it kind of all makes it more fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, what's been really cool about the Lowdown Network have been these, like started hosting panel conversations where a few of the guests, I'll notice that there's sort of a common topic that comes up on some of these episodes. We've done panels on hosting realtor events. A few of the, a few of the guests were sort of experts in that marketing approach, and they do it all the time. And so I was like, hey, let's get you guys up together, four of you, and have Jeff Zimfer for Mortgage Marketing Institute, who that's like his coaching point of view, kind of moderate that conversation. And so that was a great one. We did another one on house hacking, where had four previous guests that
Saw that
were
one.
house hackers themselves, right? They bought a home and rented out the basement, or you got a duplex, and so they've lived that lifestyle. They communicate that strategy to borrowers to open up more opportunity. I'm friends with Dustin Owen, who we worked together for about a year at Lower, and built a good relationship. He came on and moderated that, and so that was really a great conversation. And then now we're starting to move into these small group, I'll call them locos for loan officer collaborative, where I've done these before, but they were open to the general public, and it was a great conversation. We would have 20 or 30 people show up, and we would just start talking about whatever the topic du jour was for that week. Um, but I feel like it's going to be different now that it'll be previous guests that can join these calls. Because again, when it was open to everyone, it was too broad a range of people who showed up, right? So for some, it was just flies on the wall, and it was maybe the same 5 or 6 people that carried most of the conversation. So I feel like we can go into a smaller group and everyone get a little more out of it. So it'll be really fun.
So one of the things that I'm hearing is it's not just about providing value in the moment, but then continuing to provide value and ongoing value. And
Yeah,
if
100%.
like our primary audience being a lot of realtors and people like that, if you don't think that this is relevant, I would challenge you to say, look back at your past database. Because this is
Mhm.
something that I've done on this podcast alone. I've had past clients on as guests, and then
Smart.
I promote them in their business. And like what Connor's doing there is really cool in that he's having like his past clients, right? The past guests and future clients on, and then promoting them and what they do and giving them a platform to broaden their audience and grow their business. When it's
Mhm.
time for them to look for a new job, who do you think they're going to call, right? Like if you're a realtor out there and you're platforming your neighbor and the business that they're doing and bringing them together with like-minded individuals. That was just my coffee spilling all over
Okay.
me. Don't mind
Oh
that.
no, man.
Um, but bringing them together with like-minded individuals and giving them an opportunity to grow their business, who do you think they're going to call when it's time to sell
Yeah.
their house?
Yeah. Yeah, you build a lot of trust. And like I said before, like making a change in your career, big freaking deal. Especially when you're a commission only person, and the ability to perform at that next place is make or break, right? And so if you don't have that like trust with the person you're calling, it's really hard to take that leap of faith. Um, and I'll be the first to say, like, we're my company, not for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I accept that. I just want to be in the conversation,
Yeah.
like
I love it.
have a chance.
I'm not going to lie. My leg is really warm right now.
Oh no,
It's
man, are
covering
you
up a
dying
lot of
over there?
coffee.
Oh gosh.
um, and so I'm
Well,
doing
hey,
my
we
best to
need to
stay
wrap this
focused.
up.
Um, I don't edit any of these, so everyone's going to get to enjoy what was very clearly an aluminum cup bouncing multiple times and just like
Just gushing
spinning
over
all
you.
over my office and just
Oh boy.
smothering me in. And I don't even drink coffee because I like coffee. All of my coffee tastes like chocolate. I pour a packet of hot chocolate in it and make,
Yeah.
for those of you in New England, basically like my own Dunkaccino. Um,
Okay.
because I hate the taste of coffee, but now I'm going to smell like coffee for like a week. There's no
Mm.
getting this off or out of me. Um, no, what are some ways that people can follow you if they like what they're hearing here and they
Yeah.
want to either pick your brain on what you've built and the network you've done and the way you've leveraged what seems like, no offense, but a really awful task of recruiting. You couldn't pay me enough to do what you do.
I
Um,
get it.
but if someone hears that and is like, he turned something that he had tangential experience into this whole other thing that is like now growing his business and they want to learn from that, what are ways they can get in touch with you? What are some ways that they can pick your brain on ways they can translate that into their own business?
Sure. You can always find I'm on all social platforms except TikTok. Haven't quite figured that one out yet, but I'm on Instagram. It's High Five Connor. I'm on Facebook or LinkedIn. You can find me in any of those places. Feel free to reach out, shoot me a DM, follow the content, whatever you want to do. I'm an open book. Like I don't believe in keeping secrets. I don't believe I'll keep things confidential. Don't get me wrong, but I don't believe in like I feel like there's nothing to your point from our episode, like there's plenty of business out there, but I don't look at it that way even. Like there's just it's about building relationships, about being
Never know what's going
value
to come back to you and how and why.
100%. So you just keep an open dialogue with people. You take an interest in what they're doing too. Like if I were to give anybody advice, and you didn't ask me to, but I'm going to anyway, is to be of value, you need to be interested in the things that the people you're interested in are interested in. So, that's how you become a valuable person to other people. And that's, again, the podcasts, reading the books. Like I follow the, other originators that are in coaching communities and, get a better understanding of what it is they're learning about. I talk to my guests about it, like the things that are kind of hot topics within the community of the people that you want to be connecting with and you want to be of value for. Just find out what they're interested in and then go take an interest in it. And now you can have a common thread with every single one of them and just have a real conversation and
It's an
build a
actual
connection.
genuine connection and not just a cold call
Yeah,
or a whatever. And and by building those relationships and taking the time to build the commonalities and connection points, and it's a long game, right? Like it, but
100%.
but that's this is, I mean, it should be, right? We're both in industries where people are making big investments and lifetime and life altering decisions in many ways, some the biggest they're ever going to make. And
Hmm.
if they're willing to do it in one call, you should panic yourself. Like that's
Hmm.
the red flag. So if it's not something that takes a long time to build the relationship and the trust, um, they're probably not the right fit anyways.
Right. 100%. Yeah,
Well, thank
man.
you
Well,
for
I
showing up and
appreciate you
making
having
time.
me on, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the advice. Thank you so much for doing it, and yeah, thank you for not being one of the robocalls where I can't even tell if you're a human or AI because it's the same script I hear every single
Oh,
time. So
don't
thank
even
you
get
for
me
making
started
your
on
own mark.
that.
Thank you for making your own mark and being creative and coming up with a real value proposition that, heck, it made me want to follow up. I will admit, I was on a panel about social media at the company retreat, and one of the questions they said was, "So, how do you find your content? Like, how do you find your guests?" And I was like, "Uh, so everyone, close your ears. My next guest is a guy that called me last week to recruit me to go to some other mortgage company, um, but we had a good conversation. I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. I'm very happy where I am."
Yeah.
But maybe I can get him to come here and we'll have him on a podcast and we'll chat and you never know where things lead. Um,
Yeah.
so thank you so
All
much
about
for,
relations.
no, thank you so much for being one of the people that takes time to do this the right way. I really do appreciate it. And because of it, I look forward to staying in touch.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Finance with Factor. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Then if you really like us, open another podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or really wherever else you enjoy podcasts. Search Finance with Factor and do it again. The more places you like, share, and follow helps our ratings. But that can be our little secret. Have a question about today's episode or an idea for an upcoming episode? Post a comment. For more content, follow Jason Factor on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Finance with Factor. All content discussed on Finance with Factor is self-published by Jason Factor, Senior Loan Officer, NMLS number 1401985. All rates, guidelines, and advice shared on this episode is subject to change. To contact Jason directly or for a full set of disclosures, visit his website at jasonfactor.com.
Jason Factor, NMLS number 1401985. Movement Mortgage supports equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 39179. NMLS, consumeraccess.org.